It's April 1, 1924. Adolf Hitler sits in a fortress cell in Landsberg on the Lech serving time after a failed coup. Instead of despair, he sees a rare gift, uninterrupted hours to write. But what he's about to put on paper won't just tell his story, it's a plan, a blueprint for a movement that will shake the world. What drove this man from prison walls to infamy? Let's dive in. Hitler's prison time was no quiet pause. It was the forge where his vision ignited, shaping a volatile path from shattered defeat to dangerous fervor. Landsberg prison may sound bleak, but for Hitler it was a crucible. Isolated and monitored, he spent months hammering out the first volume of Mein Kampf. He jotted down his autobiography fused with ideological diatribes, stitching personal grievances with political goals, a recipe he believed would sway Germany's shattered spirit. Think of ideas as arrows and words as the bowstring. Hitler's writing aimed not to explain, but to attack and mobilize. His prose delivered sharp, relentless blows aimed at structures and groups he blamed for Germany's woes, especially Jews and communists, turning a book into a blitzkrieg of rhetoric. Out of these pages came a transformation. Hitler's personal story wasn't just his anymore. It became a manifesto that energized the Nazi movement. The myth of the man as Germany's savior emerged, setting the stage for not just political ascendance, but a horrifying new chapter in history. Hitler's narrative digs deep into who's to blame, a classic scapegoat story with deadly stakes. Understanding this mindset reveals how fear feeds fanaticism. In Mein Kampf, Hitler fixates on Jews and communists as the root of Germany's collapse. He paints them as sinister puppet masters behind war defeat and economic despair. This blaming wasn't accidental, it was strategic, tapping into existing prejudices to unify desperate people under his banner. Picture a game of tug-of-war where us stands on one side and them on the other. This simple split ignites loyalty and fear simultaneously. Hitler's strategy was to create a sharp wedge, convincing people their salvation required isolating and fighting enemies invisible yet monstrous. This scapegoating overtook the political narrative, transforming fragmented anxieties into focused rage. The payoff, an intensely bonded in-group ready to follow Hitler's radical goals, a stark lesson on how demonizing others can weld tragic movements. Beyond hatred, Mein Kampf reveals a grand design, a dystopian dream of rebirth with brutal ambitions and deeper illusions. Hitler saw Germany's recovery not as a policy debate, but a sacred mission, a rebirth of a pure nation destined for greatness. He cloaked extreme nationalism in the language of honor, linking personal struggle to national destiny, making the movement feel like a moral crusade rather than mere politics. At the core was race, not just biology, but divine blueprint. Racial purity became the unshakable foundation for his ideology, dismissing human complexity in favor of toxic hierarchies. This racial theory justified exclusion and violence as necessary for the nation's health, a chilling manipulation of science and sentiment. Finally, Hitler envisioned militarism as both shield and spear. Rejecting the chaos of the Weimar Republic, he glorified disciplined, aggressive power as essential to reclaim strength. The payoff: a vision of Germany not just resurrected but terrifyingly remade, a machine primed for conquest. Remember that fortress cell at Landsberg? It wasn't just a prison, but the birthplace of an idea that changed the course of history, tragically so. Mein Kampf shows how personal pain, when combined with scapegoating and ruthless visions, can spiral into disaster. Next time negativity consumes you, try spotting when it's riding on dangerous narratives. Challenge those stories before they become real. Subscribe for more book summaries like this one.